Hey guys, what's going on? It's Willow today here with the start of a new series here on Out of the Park Baseball 16. So, as you may remember, I did a Phillies one a while back, and to be honest, I started getting bored of it, and I think the reason was that I always do Phillies franchises when I play this game, when I played OOTP 13, when I played OOTP 14, when I played this game, obviously. I just do a lot of Phillies franchises, so I think I started getting bored because I found myself doing like kind of the same things, so I kind of, didn't really feel like doing it anymore. Like I have fun doing Phillies franchises off camera, don't get me wrong, but like for a YouTube thing, I think it'd be, a little better for you and me if I chose something that maybe I'm not too familiar with. So for this one, my guy's name is Nick Peppers, born on today's date, July 31st, 1980, the same one as the last guy, and it came down to two teams for me. Coincidentally, their logo was an A, the Athletics or the Diamondbacks, and I actually ended up going with the Arizona Diamondbacks. So that should be good. Start game. So I wasn't an Arizona fan. Don't get me wrong, but like I did kind of follow them back in the day because Brandon Webb, who obviously now he's gone. Um, Brandon Webb, he was one of my favorite pitchers back in the day, and then Stephen Jew, when he was actually good. They were another one of the teams I followed. A little more in depth. Of course, the Phillies were my favorite team, but regardless, okay. So personal message from Ken Kendrick. Ken Kendrick. That is a heck of a name. So he wants us to play close to 500 ball this season, acquire an all-star, and keep building the team up in order to reach the playoffs in the next 4 seasons. Okay, so that's okay. We'll try. But in this video, we're just gonna take a look at the roster because, to be honest, I'm not too familiar with this roster. I mean, I know most of the players on it, but I'm not familiar with the minor league system all that much. And yeah, so we're just going to go into what do we want to go to? Rosters and transactions. So let's sort by overall. Okay, so obviously our main selling point at this point is Paul. Oops. Oh, I got to change the. Oops. Okay, hold on. I'm actually going to do that right now. Hold on. So we are going to. What do we want to do? We want to OOTP start screen. I hope that didn't. Okay, good. So I need to change the settings. Is this? This. Damn it, where is it? Oh, wait, no, it's actually in game. Whoops. Uh, it's in, what is it, game settings? There you go, yeah. So I actually want the 20 to 80 scale because that's what I'm more familiar with. And then that should be good. So we are going to, do I have to do anything or is that good now? Let's check. That should be good now. Okay, good, awesome. So overall, once again, and that actually reminds me I need to get a new scout. So that's how you do that. You go to team settings, front office, scouting. I mean, well, this guy's actually not that bad, but there's definitely a guy that's better out there. Where do you go? You go to this, then hire team staff or sign team staff. Then you want scout ratings. I want him to be able to scout amateurs pretty damn well. And there you go, this guy, Norio Yamaguchi. Actually, no, Logan White, I think, will be my scouting director. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Yep. So Logan White will be my scouting director, and we're going to give him that contract. And Yamaguchi will be my assistant GM. And there we go. Awesome. So that's that. You see, their ratings are pretty solid. Obviously, Yamaguchi, he's outstanding, 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 and then excellent with scouting the majors. And I'm not too concerned with scouting majors because I feel as though I can judge that pretty well. And for the first few years, I'm pretty familiar with everybody in the league anyway. I mean, obviously, once we get a little more into this, because I do plan on actually taking this far as opposed to the Philly series. Once we get maybe 10, 20 years, well, I don't know if I'm gonna actually do 20 years. That seems like a bit much. Once we get maybe like 5, 10 years into this, uh, you know, I might not be familiar with everybody in the majors, but I do, I think I'll still have a pretty good idea. But whenever I look for a scout, scouting amateurs, it's always high on my list because, especially when it comes to the amateur draft, sometimes I don't really know who to pick. So when you have a guy that knows how to scout amateurs, you see here outstanding. It does help a lot. And if you hear any pauses, it's I actually started watching my videos over, and I said a lot, and that's not good. So if you hear any pauses like you just heard, it's me like just not trying to say the word because I'm trying to get away from that because that's not very professional, and I feel like it takes away from the video. But regardless, so we offer contracts to those guys. So finally, let's take a look at the roster overall. Whoops. So Paul Goldschmidt, obviously our selling point. So he is a free agent in 2019. Now I actually just signed him in a Phillies franchise doing off camera, and it doesn't, or yeah, off camera. It doesn't really take that much to sign this guy, surprisingly, but we'll see if it's different in this series. So you see his avoid Ks. It's not very good, but I'm not too concerned about that. Because you see his contact 55, gap power 60, home run power 65, his eye 55, but apparently that's going to increase to 60. 4.5 star player, that's what his potential is. That's probably where he's going to stay. Really good defensively, 70 at first base. So that's good to see. So he's obviously our main selling point at this stage of the game. Evan Marshall, I'm not too concerned about relief pitchers. They're a dime a dozen, especially or even more so in this game. You can really find them anywhere. You can find them in the draft. You can find them for cheap in free agency. You can find them in the Rule 5 draft. You can trade for them pretty damn easily. So it's nice to have this guy. Don't get me wrong. He seems like he could be a good piece, but at the same time, you can always find relief pitchers. Addison Reed, same thing. And he actually hasn't been doing that good, to be honest. But in real life, I should say. I mean, you see last year, 4.25 ERA, 121 WHIP. So he actually has arbitration after this year. So we're gonna have to see if we want to keep him because we might not want to keep him. Maybe there's a closer that's on the market, or not even a closer, maybe just a relief pitcher that we want to put in there, or maybe we end up putting Evan Marshall in that role. Who knows? Mark Trumbo. See, he's really power, not much else. He plays pretty good first base, but we already have a first baseman, so it's not really worth it. All-Star in 2012, that's when he had his good year, 268 with 32 home runs. After that, he really started to come back down to earth, and now you can see he's really just power, nothing else. 2013, he had 34 home runs, but he only hit 234 with a 294 OBP. And last year, 2014, he only had 14 home runs. Granted, he had like 300 less at bats, or I guess that's more 200. And he only hit 235 to 293 OBP. So I would not be opposed to trading him. As you see, he still does have some value, especially with the fact that he's signed for $6.9 million this year, and he's in arbitration, so he'll probably want more next year. So I would not be opposed to trading him at the trade deadline because this team's probably not going to do very good this year. I'll admit that. So anyway, Jake Lamb, you may remember him. He had a pretty solid start this year in real life before he got injured. Sorry, I just heard a motorcycle go past my house. Yeah, but you see his avoid Ks, it's not very good. I'm not really sure if that's accurate. I didn't really watch a lot of Diamondbacks games early in the year, so I'm not sure if that's accurate. His contact, it seems like that only get to 50, which is I guess that's okay. He plays it, and I guess that would be what, like an average third base. It definitely could be better. He doesn't really have much speed. I'm not gonna say he's all power because you see his gap power is good, his home run power obviously, but he also has a pretty good eye, which is good. So his avoid Ks isn't very good, but his eye seems like it could be solid. So we'll see if he's gonna be a mainstay for this franchise. See, he only has 48 days of Major League service, so we have, a good amount of time to make a judgment on him. Chris Owings, this guy, power's not a big part of his game, but he's all contact. You see his speed. His speed's okay, but his stealing is really, really good. He can bunt for a hit pretty well. He plays a really good second base. He's pretty solid defensively, as you can see by these defensive ratings. He did pretty good in the minors. His first year in the majors last year, his first extended look, I should say, because you see in 2013 he played then 20 games. Last year he played 91, hit 261. He did have 6 home runs. I guess that's kind of where you'd expect him to be. I don't expect him to hit more than 10, to be perfectly honest. If he hits more than 10, that would be a surprise, and I wonder if it actually says that in scouting reports. Yeah, he could develop a little home run pop in the future, but that is not the key to his game. He's kind of like a Joe Panic in a way. He's the kind of the guy that really high contact rating. He does have a little bit of gap power. His eye's not that good though. That concerns me just a bit, but we'll see if that actually turns out to be a bad thing. And then Cliff Pennington, AJ Pollock. I never really got why he wasn't rated very highly in this game. Because in real life, he's a pretty solid player. I mean, you saw last year, obviously limited time, only 75 games. I think he got injured last year at some point. He had 302, 7 home runs. See, his contact and gap power is pretty high. Plays a really good center field, which is good. So this team's actually looks pretty solid, like from a defensive aspect, which is good to see. His outfield range is 75. Wow. He only has 1 year and 150 days of service time, which is good. So we have some time to make a judgment on him as well, because he's only going to be in arbitration for the next several years. But I hope he does develop. I mean, it says he only has the potential to be a 2.5 star guy. I don't buy that. I think he's definitely he could definitely be a vital part to our team, not just now but in the future. And we also have Brad Ziegler, Chase Anderson. So now we're getting into the pitchers. So this leads me to believe our pitching staff is not very good. And I knew that already. I'm not. Oops, not Aaron Hill. I'm not too sure how to say his name, so somebody's going to have to tell me in the comments if you know how to say his name. I'm going to say Andrew Chaffin, but I'm sure that's wrong. Aaron Hill, if this guy could have stayed healthy, he probably could have had a pretty nice career. Staying healthy was his problem, especially in the later years. Let's see who else we have. Daniel Hudson. He used to be, I'm not going to say like a, could have sworn like back in the day, he was actually someone that like a lot of the people talk about, like, oh, this guy could be like, pretty good starter here. Oops, and I'm getting a call, guys, so give me 1 second. All right, sorry, guys. I don't know what that was about. I tried saying hello. I said that a couple times, but nobody was on the other end, I guess. I don't know. Maybe it was a pocket dial. I don't know. But, yeah, so we see Daniel Hudson. Did he win a Silver Slugger, really? I guess so. Wow. Josh Colementor. So I think the biggest thing for this franchise, we definitely need some starting. Cody. Oh, I thought Cody Ransom was 4 star potential. It's like, when did that happen? Pitching is definitely on the pretty high on my list. We have Jeremy Hellickson. He's not rated very highly. I liked him when he was with the Rays. In 2012, he had a pretty solid year, but ever since then, he's kind of digressed a little bit. 2013, he had a 5.17 ERA. Last year at Tampa Bay, he only started 13 games, but a 4.52 ERA. I'd like to keep him. I hope he does good. His ratings, they're okay. So I hope he actually does good. David Peralta. Now we're getting down here into the not so highly rated guys. Oliver Perez, Ender Inciarte, Tuffy Ghostwitch, Danny Dorn, Gerald Laird. Are they my only catchers? I guess they are my only catchers. That's not good. Definitely have to improve the catching position. Jordan Pacheco, Matt Reynolds, and Randall Delgado rounds out my 25-man roster. So let's check AAA, see who we got. Archie Bradley, which is good to see. I'm sure we're going to call him up sooner rather than later. His changeup's not very good, but even if he only is a 3-pitch pitcher, I imagine he'd do pretty good. Now, what concerns me is his control. In my Phillies franchise, I've found a lot of pitchers whose control is not very good, and for majority of the time, it doesn't work out very well. So I'm hoping that's not the case with Bradley. It does seem like he can improve to 55. That would be good, because it seems, at least in my experience, anything around 50 and below, that's 50 obviously and below, but anywhere around like 50, you're kind of taking a risk. But let's see here, Nick Ahmed. I mean, this guy, he could come up, I guess. He has solid speed. He's really, he's defensive and speed minded, and there's nothing wrong with that. Don't get me wrong. His ratings aren't very good though. 50 contact, 50 gap power. He does avoid Ks, which I suppose is a good thing. Let's see, Peter O'Brien. This is the guy they got from the Yankees. I actually saw him when he was in Trenton in 2014. I actually have his autograph, to be honest. So this guy is his main selling point is power. It does not seem like he's very good defensively. His ratings are not that high. What does OSA have to say about him? Oh, OSA likes him a little bit better though. So we'll see if he develops. Jake Barrett, see, this is what I'm talking about. Like, relief pitchers are so easy to find. Like, we have this guy who, to be honest, once he develops that changeup a little bit, he'll be, you know, we just gotta wait for that. I mean, even if the changeup doesn't develop, right? Like, I could still see a scenario where I call him up, like, pretty soon. Like, if one of the guys in our bullpen isn't doing good, like, I'll call this guy up. I really don't care. Like, relief pitchers are just so easy to find. Alan Webster, the Geely, yeah, that's nice. The guy that the D-backs got from Boston, did pretty wow, his minor league stats. 2014, I guess he did okay. 3.10 ERA. It's not too bad. The other years though, it's not look very good. Anybody else worth noting? Robbie Ray. That's a name that sounds familiar. Really good changeup. I imagine this is a guy I might put in the bullpen because this doesn't really seem like a starter. I mean, to be honest, maybe this guy never even makes the major leagues. To be honest, he's only 23, but the slider that's not going to develop anymore most likely. The curveball doesn't look very promising. The changeup does. I mean, this like his fastball and changeup are good. Like I could see a scenario where I put him in the bullpen, I guess, but I don't know. That's not too promising. Oh wait, let me see what OSA, because I keep forgetting I'm looking at my hit scout. What is OSA? Okay, so OSA likes him a little more, which I guess is promising. That'd be good if he could have a 60 fastball, 60 curve, 50 slider, and 70 change. That would be more ideal than what our head scout is saying. Yes, my Tomas, I imagine OSA rates him higher, right? Yep. So our head scout doesn't really like Tomas. He can't avoid Ks, and that I know is true because I was looking at him a lot before he signed with the D-backs because I was kind of deciding like, I mean, to be honest, I actually wrote an article back in November saying like, oh, the Phillies need to sign Yasmani Tomas, and to be honest, I'm like, I don't know. I'm glad they didn't, to be honest, because I really don't think I would have liked him. His contact is 40. Avoid K is 25. I is 40. He has power, like that's great, but especially when I play OOTP, I really try to shy away from the guys that are all power and nothing else, because power carries value in this game, but that doesn't mean I want it on my team. If I get a guy that just power and nothing else, more or less he ends up just as a trade chip for me. Votto Nuno, they got this guy from the Yankees. Actually did okay. I mean, he went 0-7, but wins and losses, that's not really the best factor in seeing, oh, is this guy good or not? You see his ERA was 3.76, whip was 1.09, so I don't know, maybe this guy comes up at some point this year. I mean, our pitching's not very good, so I could definitely see a scenario where that happens. And that's basically all the notable guys in AAA. Let's check AA. Oops. Okay, we'll do it this way. Brandon Drury. So we got some nice infield prospects in the system at least. Although this guy seems like power. This guy seems pretty average. 4 stars. His speed's average. Bunts average. Plays an okay third base. Actually, never mind. What does OSA say about him? Oh, see, OSA likes him way better than our head scout. Yeah, if he could turn out like what the OSA rating says he's going to turn out to be, that would be great. Let's see, what else? Aaron Blair, that's a name that sounds familiar. Did they draft this guy? Why does that name sound familiar? I don't know why that name sounds familiar. I'm sure I'll figure it out if I'm done the video. Like, oh, that's why it sounds familiar. Duh. So Aaron Blair, does not look like there's that many other people here. Socrates Burrito, he's speed. That's not too bad, I suppose. Anybody else? Not really. Let's check single A. Colin Bray, Tyler Humphreys. I'm sure, I'm sure one of these guys, at least, will probably find their way up. Visalia, anybody here? Not really. Fernie, Ozuna. Oh, yes! Now, is this Jaime or Jamie? I'm not really sure. I'm gonna go Jamie. So his eye is projected to be pretty freaking good, but that's about it. Home runs, definitely not. Gap power, definitely not. It seems like this guy's contact, and he will draw his fair share of walks. That's what this seems like, to be honest. Although judging by his stats, 98 strikeouts, 38 walks. Although it does say his avoid Ks, it's not that great. Solid speed, pretty good defensively. Okay. Domingo Leba. Seems like this guy could be a pretty solid player too. Definitely contribute, no doubt about it. I suppose there's some doubt about it. I mean, how old is he? These guys are 19 and they're in single A. I don't know if they're going to contribute, to be completely honest. Short season A ball, anybody here? Matt McPherson, that's a name that sounds familiar. Hillsborough Hops. Oh, we were just there. Whoops. Nobody in Rookie League right now. What is this? Dominican Summer League. Is there anybody here? Hassan Diaz. Alright. These are pretty much a lot of young guys, so it's kind of tough to judge them at this point. And I believe that's it, right? Oh, nope. Another Rookie League and then our International Complex. Oswaldo Garcia, so here's a catcher, hopefully. Hopefully he continues to improve. I don't really like these ratings right now, so hopefully, I mean, he's only 19 years old, so hopefully he improves. So we do need some catching help desperately. What else we got here? That's about it. And then let's check our International Complex. A couple of 1.5-star guys. Yeah. Alright, so that's what the team's looking like. What's our lineup, supposedly? Inciarte, Pollock, Goldschmidt, Trumbo, Lamb, Pennington, Owens, and Ghostwitch. Yeah, I probably won't change that much, to be perfectly honest. What's our pitching? Clementer, De La Rosa, Hellickson, Anderson, and Hudson. Yeah, so this is definitely going to be another rebuilding process, no doubt about it, just like our Phillies franchise. Now, the one thing we do have in our favor is that we do have the first pick in the draft, which will take place in 2 months. So at least we have that working for us. But guys, I think I'll do it for episode number 1 of this Arizona Diamondbacks series here on OOTP 16. Be sure to leave a like if you did enjoy. Once again, thanks for watching, and hopefully you guys have a wonderful day. I'll hopefully see you tomorrow.